Welcome. So happy to have you here with me today. As you know, today's topic is Archangel Gabriel. I want to start by the names. We're going to start with the meaning of Archangel Gabriel's name, which is God is my strength. And the origin of his name is Hebrew, and it's a name, Gabriel, meaning God is my strong man. This is derived from strong man, hero, and El meaning God. He's gone by other names like Jibril, the divine messenger of God, and the Christmas angel. It's interesting, some of the archangels, the ones that we consider to be the primary ones, is probably because they show up in religious texts so much. So we have a little bit of history about them, which tends to make them feel more real to us. And the first time that Gabriel's mentioned is in the Hebrew religious texts. And it was later he started showing up in other religions, but Gabriel's one of only two archangels mentioned by name in the Protestant Bible. In the Christian faith, Gabriel is the archangel who guided the three wise men to the birthplace of Christ and is the angel who appeared to Mary, telling her that she was going to give birth to a son. Gabriel also came to Joseph in a dream and told him about the coming birth of Jesus. So he really appears prominently in the whole birth of Christ. As he appears in the book of Daniel to help him interpret and understand the prophetic visions he was receiving. And then in the New Testament, Gabriel's mentioned in the Gospel of Luke in the famous passage known as the Annunciation. He's also the archangel who announced the birth of John the Baptist. And Gabriel was also called the chief angel in Islam and is said to have revealed the Quran to Prophet Muhammad. So all over the world, there's written history about Archangel Gabriel. You may not know, if you haven't listened to my other shows or this is new to you, you might not know that each archangel oversees specific areas of human life. And this comes into play later, but the areas that Gabriel oversees is communications of all types. I mean, it's God's great messenger. So I'm saying he, but we'll get into that more later. He also provides strength, assistance for women with female-related issues, and inspiration. So I'm going to say this, like angels, again, archangels and angels, they're not male or female. They're not sexual beings, but their energy tends to be more male or female. So I have always felt Gabriel as a masculine energy, but overall, it's considered that Gabriel has feminine energy. So you'll have to see how that feels for you when you call Gabriel in. Gabriel oversees the fourth ray, which is white, and also associated with the color copper. And now I'm going to say she's usually depicted wearing armor, being strong, having copper-colored halo, and that's because of that associated with the color copper, and carrying a large copper trumpet. That trumpet signifies the delivery of messages. Gabriel's energy is most often felt as a sense of being bathed in warmth. And I would have to agree with that. When she comes into my presence, he, she, however you want to say that, I feel that warmth kind of enveloping my entire body. You may not know that angels and archangels do have personalities, just like we do. So this archangel's personality is exuberant, it's powerful, and wildly radiant. She brings messages from God's lips to man's ear. That's how she got the name God's great messenger. And Gabriel presides over the moon and is associated with the zodiac sign Cancer and the seventh chakra, which is your crown, the top of your head. I long ago, years ago, was doing some channeling with the archangels, and I got a message from Gabriel I'm going to pass on to you now. I offer you a healing frequency that can further support and guide you on your healing journey. Allow me to inspire you with clear knowing, remind you that you are loved and supported, that you are enough, and assist you in shifting your mental and emotional energy to come into alignment with healing light. So remember I told you that each archangel is associated, they kind of oversee certain aspects of our human life here on earth. So going back to that topic again, here are some specific reasons why you might want to consider calling upon Archangel Gabriel for assistance. One is communication related issues. So if it's, you're not getting along with somebody, you feel like your message, your word is not being interpreted the way you intend it, whatever it is regarding communications, that is something Archangel Gabriel would be very helpful with. Another one is strength. And right now, boy, I'm having a lot of people who come to see me talking about that they feel drained. They feel, they're feeling like when you start to feel hopeless, when you get into a place of despair, when it just seems like one negative thing upon another is happening in the world, it does start to drain your strength. So if you're feeling that, or perhaps you have a physical issue going on that's really draining your strength, that's something to call upon Archangel Gabriel for. Anything regarding like getting pregnant, having a healthy pregnancy, having a smooth, natural, childbirth that results in a healthy child, adopting, raising children, all of those things are something that Archangel Gabriel oversees. So another one is inspiration. It's for writers and artists, but when we say artists of any kind, anybody who creates something artistic, doesn't have to be painting, drawing. Oh, I just felt the angels come in as I said that. So they really want you to know that if you're creative in any way and you get blocked with your creativity, or you want to be inspired more, this is a great reason to call upon Gabriel. And the last one is if you desire to become a teacher, or you're a teacher and you need inspiration, Gabriel is your archangel for this area. So I have this invocation. And again, an invocation when it comes to archangels just means you're asking for them to come into your presence and assist you. So I've done a lot. This is a lot of research involved in this, and some of it might sound silly to you. I mean, take it, do it, don't do it. But some ways you can enhance your invocation is say it on a Monday, begin in a quiet meditative state, diffuse lavender or lemon, peppermint, rose, rosemary, sandalwood essential oil. And I generally recommend don't mix more than 3 in a diffuser. So you're going to plug that in and have it diffuse for about 5 minutes so that the scent is permeating the space around you, and then do it. And then you can also hold a piece of citrine. I wish I brought some from my office. I have a beautiful citrine crystal aiming at me on my desk, and it's for inspiration. And so you can hold your citrine. It doesn't have to be a crystal of it, but just a piece of citrine in your hand. And then here's the actual invocation. And I am going to put this on my blog, on my main website, the Ivory Angelic Medium website. Gabriel, I ask you to be with me now as I seek to have communications with whoever the person is, and in all ways in my life. Help me realize my goals and open my mind to receiving your inspiration so that I may live in harmony with minimal drama and confusion. Thank you for your divine presence and guidance today. So it's pretty short and sweet, but there's other ones. Because each area that Gabriel oversees, I thought it might be helpful for you to have those. And we're going to do those a little bit later, but I want to talk about Gabriel. It's interesting, like when I do a Meet Your Angelic Guides reading, or anything, or even mediumship in general, before I do it, I always call in the 4 archangels. And when I say the 4, the primary ones are Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel. So Gabriel, we're asking to stand behind us. And by the way, before I do this show every week, I do this spiritual protection so that angels are surrounding me and the whole energy of the show, and you who's here live, you who are listening, watching later, so that you have that angelic protection and energy around you to better serve you in what you learn on this show, and to protect it so that I want to be sure that the messages I give are pure and as intended. So I call in these archangels, and very often for each person, it can be a little different, but sometimes I'll feel Gabriel so powerfully. I always call in Michael to my right, Uriel to my left, Raphael before me, and Gabriel behind me. And when Gabriel comes in extra strong, like I always feel the archangels step into the space. But if you have a current strong connection with Gabriel, I'm going to feel that like tenfold. Just that sense of warmth I mentioned earlier, the energy of warmth, like I feel the chills I normally get, and it's hard chills. So the hair on my head, like I get chills on the top of my head all the way down my body, and they're kind of painful because the frequency of archangels is so very high. But I'll also feel that warmth, and it'll come from behind me because Gabriel's standing behind me, and I'll feel it coming through my heart chakra, my solar plexus, and then just kind of moving through my body like this wave of warmth. And it's so nice when that happens because I can tell that person, you got Gabriel with you right now. And inevitably, they will tell me something like, oh my gosh, they'll start crying usually because they'll say, I've had such a communication issue. Like my dad and I are not speaking anymore, and I don't know what to do about it. And your angels and the archangels, they hear you when you think about these things. They know what you're distressed about, what you're stressing about. They know, you hear you talking about these things. They know what's going on in your heart. And so it's no surprise that you come for a session and that particular archangel is going to step forward, and they're letting you know, I know what you need. I'm here. I'm already on it. I'm working on that for you. And so kind of a follow-up for that, for instance, because this is a real life situation. The woman said, since COVID started political stuff, her and her father had a falling out. She never thought that would happen. They had a very close relationship, and now they're not speaking. Her father will not speak to her. So she started doing this, like after this reading, she started doing the invocation I gave her, and she's calling in Gabriel and asking specifically for help with her father. And within 3 months, like things just like he just thawed, and he realized, he never wants to jeopardize his relationship with his child over political views or anything else. So it was really beautiful. I felt like shedding some tears myself on that one because there's many people in similar situations right now, and it's hard. So whatever it is, maybe you have a sibling or a close friend that's hard to get along with, a coworker who's difficult to communicate with. Maybe they're harsh with you, a supervisor who makes your life miserable. I highly recommend, those are all situations where calling in Gabriel and asking for that specific assistance, because remember, you have free will. A big part of being human is you come into this existence and you have free will to make your own decisions, to choose what you want to do and not do. It's how you learn. It's sort of like when your children grow up, if we continue to make decisions for them, how are they ever going to be independent? As they start getting a little older, I remember my daughter she was about 16, 17, and I had remarried when she was, oh gosh, she must have been 14, 15. So he was a very level-headed person. And I was so upset. I just wanted her to do something. And he's like, you really need to start letting her make more of her decisions that are not going to hurt her, even if you don't think it's the right thing, because in a year, she's going to be off to college and she's going to need to make these decisions. And it helped me step out of being like, I was maybe a little over mothering at that point, worrying about her. And it was really good because I thought about that. And I thought, yeah, this is one of those things where she has to start exercising her free will. So let's get back to free will and the archangels and angels in general, for that matter. They're not going to intervene on your behalf unless you ask them to, because they don't want to interfere with your free will. How do we learn our lessons? How do we experience things that our soul needs to experience if somebody else makes all our decisions for us? We don't. So I always say it's a really good idea to say, angels or Archangel Gabriel, I invoke thee and I give you permission to supersede my free will, or, I give you permission to act, to make decisions, to help me. I don't know what to do, especially in those situations where you have no idea what to do. Ask them to intervene. They know that means bypassing your free will. And it's temporary, it's for this one time, and then it's back to you needing to make the decisions. It's why I don't want my clients to ever be overly reliant on me for psychic guidance or spiritual guidance or angelic guidance, because at some point you have to rely on your own decisions. You have to go by your intuition, your experience, your knowledge, your wisdom, and what you know about yourself, and make those decisions, good, bad, or otherwise. Honestly, what we call bad decisions lead to powerful lessons. And I know that's been true for me, very powerful lessons. So of course they don't want to step in and prevent us from learning these lessons that help us become stronger, wiser, more discerning. That's a big part of it. Without those lessons, what are we? We're just sort of floating through life, and that's existence. That's not living. So some of the things that you can call upon Archangel Gabriel for, let's talk about that invocation for fertility and conception. It seems to be a real big one lately. Maybe it always has been, but lately I'm having more clients with this. So you can say, Archangel Gabriel, please help me to achieve pregnancy. I ask that you heal anything in my body that is getting in the way of me becoming pregnant naturally and easily. Let my body adjust to the requirements needed to achieve fertility. If there is a blockage, let it dissolve harmlessly. I ask that this happens spontaneously and quickly. Help me to be calm and relaxed as I approach my goal of pregnancy, knowing that my mental state affects my physical state. I trust you implicitly to do all you can to make this happen for me, knowing my sincere desire to be a parent. My trust includes the sure belief that with your powerful aid, I will become pregnant. Please impart any knowledge you feel I should have, which would assist me in my quest. Archangel Gabriel, thank you for your presence and for helping me become fertile and conceive. I'm going to post all these on my website, so don't feel like you got to memorize it right now or try to take notes. You're never going to remember it all. But I want to point out one line in this specifically, that imparting any knowledge you feel I should have, which would assist me. Sometimes that knowledge is not going to make you happy. I've had some people who heard messages like, you are not meant to be pregnant in this lifetime. And that's a hard pill to swallow, a bitter pill to swallow when you so desperately want to have a child. So that's a time to do some contemplation. What can I do to fill this void? If the archangels say that I am not supposed to have a child in this lifetime, what can I do to fill this void? Do I need to adopt? Do I need to be a foster parent? Do I need to pour my love into my nieces and nephews? Do I need to get pets? Do I need to do volunteer work? What is it? Really think about it and try some things. Sometimes that situation shifts and then the person gets pregnant anyway. It is so interesting. But usually when they hear that clear message from their angels or an archangel, they don't end up getting pregnant. So I don't want you to think that just because you say an invocation means it's going to happen. It's going to happen if it's meant to happen for you. And if it's not, we all have things in our life that we wish would be true, but it's not meant for us. It's just not in the cards for us in this go round. And sometimes that is the case. So try to be gentle with yourself and loving with yourself, and not consider your body to be some sort of enemy or betraying you or God turning his back on you, because it is not that at all. It's all about the lessons we're learning. So what is a lesson, that you could learn if you never get pregnant? Like, what's a lesson you can learn that helps you be a better person, a stronger person, and move forward as a whole new you that's an improved version? Whatever it is in life, it's not just about conceiving a child. everything in life that's a disappointment, that you try everything you can, you ask for intervention, you pray to God, it still doesn't happen, then there's a lesson there for us that we're supposed to find a way to be at peace with, to overcome that in a different way, and find a place to fill that void within ourselves in a way we can do. So acceptance, I think, is important. There's things in my life. I've had terrible health since I was 5 years old. I really don't like that. I would change that. I've done everything I can to change that, and it's not going to happen. So, I have asthma, I've got severe allergies, and then other things as I've gotten older, but those two things have been very limiting. But what they did is they forced me to be a very contemplative person, because there were large parts of the year that I couldn't play outside or couldn't even get out of bed. And so I read a ton. I did a lot of thinking and praying, talking to my angels. I think it's a big part of what made me who I am today. So sometimes our circumstances make us do what we're here to do. I hope that makes sense to you. If you have questions, always, you can email me anytime, and that's in the show description. The next one would be an invocation for children. So this one would be if you already have children, whether you gave birth to them, you adopted them, you're fostering, issues with children. Archangel Gabriel, I ask that you assist me with an issue with my child. There is a situation which I've been unable to change. Know that I love my child and want only the best for them. Please uncover the root of the issue and let me know what I need to do to affect positive change between myself and my child. If you determine there's a concern with my child's physical, mental, or emotional health, I ask that you let me know what it is. Please heal both myself and my child so that we may have a better foundation on which to build a healthier relationship. Heal my child's body so they may live a healthy, happy life. My sincere desire is to see my child radiant with health and happiness. I am ready and willing to follow your guidance in this matter. Archangel Gabriel, thank you for your presence and for helping my child and myself. I want to point out that's also true if your children are now adults. I've used this one with my daughter who's 41. So, when things come up that are difficult between us, and it's not been a lot in life, but it's happened, I do ask Archangel Gabriel for help with that. Be aware, some of the things that have happened with clients that I've had, when they called in Archangel Gabriel, they had an issue with their child, and they did receive clear messages. They didn't like it. The clear message one of them got was, you need to stop being so hard on the child. You're expecting too much. Your expectations are too high. And they didn't like that. And the reaction was to get mad and huffy and, not want to talk about it anymore. But upon reflection, they could see that. They could see what Gabriel was talking about. And it helped them then become a better, healthier parent for that child, which reduces that child's stress and makes it more likely that they're going to be successful in the way they want to be successful. Another one with that is I had a client who had an adult child, and they asked for help. And what they said was, you need to let them live their dreams. And I think that they were kind of shocked at that. And I remember talking about that. And by the time they came back to me, they had done a lot of thinking about it. And they had realized that what they were urging that child to go to college for is what they always wanted to do. And you can't have your children live your life and fix your own regrets. So what they decided to do in between like the 3 months I'd seen them was they had enrolled in school and were going back to school to do what they always wanted to do. And they released their child to go in the direction they want to go in. They have to do what makes them happy, not what makes you happy. When they start to go off to college, they are preparing to live their own life. And it wouldn't be fair for us as parents to ask them to do what we want to do because it makes us happy. That's our responsibility, is to make ourselves happy. So just something to think about. You can sometimes get a response when you ask for those kind of messages that you don't like, or you don't want to hear, you're not ready to hear. But I think it's important never to react in anger, never to react when you're in a state of shock or surprise. And I like to just insist upon time to get quiet and think about it. And sometimes I want to think about it for a couple of weeks or more before I have a conversation about it, because I want to be sure that I'm not reacting out of an emotion, but that I'm actually doing what seems to be the right thing for that person, for myself, for all parties involved, to rectify, calm the situation. Nothing good's ever going to come out of reacting in anger. So just some things to think about. Another one is an invocation for creative and artistic expression. So again, you could be a painter, a writer, do sketches, write music, sing, whatever it is, play musical instruments, any kind of artistic expression. And by the way, also, that doesn't mean you have to be doing it for a living. Do it if you do it because it feeds your soul, you love it, it's a hobby. That's the same thing, falls into the same category. Archangel Gabriel, I ask that you be with me now and help me express myself better creatively and artistically. Please help my inspiration to occur more frequently. Let the ideas which are given to me be expressed beautifully in a unique manner. I ask that my artistic talent be expanded so that I obtain high-reaching vision. Let my imagination be stimulated, allowing me to better translate vision into creative expression. Please remove any fear, doubt, and tendency to compare myself to others. I understand how pointless that is and desire to leave all of that behind. Replace those inclinations with positive thoughts and great self-esteem. Help me to clearly see my gifts, my own style, and fully embrace it and my individuality. Let me be stirred by beautiful sights, experiences, and by people. Help me to metamorphose into a soaring, stirring, creative force who competes only with myself. Archangel Gabriel, thank you for your presence and your powerful creative and artistic expression. I really felt it was important to put that part in there about not comparing yourself to others. There's few things in life that hold us in a box and restrain our potential than comparing ourselves to others. They're on their journey, you're on your journey, I'm on my journey, and we're not in competition with each other. We're supporting one another. We're here having this existence together and trying to help one another and lift each other. And you just do your thing. So I'm going to give you some examples of that in my life. I love playing musical instruments, and I'm a singer. I'm a professional singer. I'm very comfortable with that. But I'd started playing piano when I was young, and then I took up a few more. Well, I was in my 40s, early 40s, when I decided I wanted to learn violin. And my father had given me my granddad's old violin. Thought that's a cool reason to do it. So in my town, Prescott, Arizona, there's a lady named Katie. Hi, Katie. And she is one of the best fiddlers in the country. She also teaches violin. And I would go to her house with my violin case. I'm 6 feet tall. So here's a 6 foot tall woman in her early 40s carrying my violin case. I'd be going in the door and a 10-year-old would be coming out, and they'd look at me and they'd look at my case and they'd go, whoa. And I would go in and I would play. And Katie was like, it's such a pleasure to teach you because you learn so fast. And I'm like, well, part of that is I'm not 10 years old. So I'm actually, doing the practice and I am musical, but it was just hilarious. And I thought, this is a good example of why you don't have to be great at something to get a lot of enjoyment out of it. So I would play and I would have some very sweet notes and some hideous ones that sounded like I was torturing cats in my house. And I wanted to make a point to a social group I was in. We had what's called like an arts and science competition, and people did not want to participate in the performing arts category because they felt they're not good enough. And I said, listen, it's not about being good enough. There's different levels. So enter at whatever level you're at. And I thought, rather than just telling them again, I'd just show them. And I entered for playing violin. And I played fiddle for that because I played a medieval Celtic number called Old Hag, You Have Killed Me. I just love the name of that piece. But I was playing it and I had it memorized, and there were some sweet notes in there and there were some horrible ones, but I can remember laughing, like I was laughing at myself. And afterwards, everybody's like clapping and they're like, that was so brave. And I'm like, that was making a point. that you can get up there and you can be brave and you can do your artistic expression and not be fantastic at it, but you're happy because you're doing it because you love it. And I'm doing that with painting now. I'm not particularly artistic in that way. My other family members, like my daughter, are. I'm okay, but I just feel like I want to paint angels. You know what? Oh, big shock there, right? I'm driven to paint angels. So I bought all the stuff and I've been taking some painting classes, like group painting classes, loving it, not great at it, don't care, keep going. And I'm going to do my angel paintings, and it's because my soul wants it. So I encourage you, don't worry about, oh, I'm not very good at this. I always wanted to do that, but I'm not good at it. Do it anyway. A client I was talking to the other day, we were talking about guitar. And I said, I used to be really good at it in my 30s because it's the only instrument I had at hand. So I was very good at it and I could accompany myself. But then I got other instruments. Now I've been on the harp, Celtic harp for years now. It's like my main instrument. I just recently started playing piano again. But I'm going to take guitar lessons because it's been so long. It's like I never played. And he said the same thing happened to him, but he was thinking now he's too old. I'm like, I'm 61 and I'm going to relearn guitar again. You're younger than I am. How are you? How are you too old? He's like, oh. So, don't let your age stop you. Don't let lack of talent stop you. There's all kinds of reasons why you feel an inner push to get creative. So if you are having a hard time, like let's say you want to sing and you don't have a good voice. I've run across that numerous times. Do this invocation to Gabriel and ask for help with giving you the courage to sing anyway. You could join a community chorus and your voice will be joining others and no one will hear that you're not great. Join the church choir, whatever you want to do. Sing in the showers, sing in your yard. Your neighbors will deal with it. But you might just need the courage to take on your artistic expression. Oh, and I wanted to say, I have clients who are architects, things of that sort, like designers of more concrete things like that. They've used this invocation and felt like they got a lot of inspiration from it for the kind of artistic endeavors they have within their work. The last category would be verbal and emotional expressions. So some people feel like they have emotions, but they don't express them adequately, or they feel like they're not good at speaking in public. They stumble, they say a lot, they just don't know what to say. And it can really hold them back in their professions, particularly. So here's one specifically for that. Archangel Gabriel, please come to me to assist me in expressing myself better, both verbally and emotionally. Clear my throat chakra that I may speak my truth. Remove any trace of fear, self-doubt, hesitancy, and social distress which currently make it difficult for me to say what I want to say. Let my words be inspired and emerge from my mouth in a manner that makes my meaning perfectly clear. Open my heart and help me to be real and honest about my emotions. Help me come to a place where I can easily identify how I feel and am comfortable stating it to others. I want to be at ease with my own emotions as well as those expressed by others. Help me to regulate my emotions by saying how I feel right away and not letting them build up until I explode. Archangel Gabriel, thank you for your presence and the strength of your aid. I know these are a little long, but the reason is I was trying to get like every conceivable subcategory within this overall category in there. Again, these are going to be posted this week on my website. Feel free to condense it down to just say the part that means something to you, to change the words so it feels comfortable for you to say it, that feels like something you would say. It's never important that you say word for word what I or anyone else says when you are asking for help, talking to your angels, talking to God. That's not what this is about. I'm not looking to create little clones of myself here. This is about you being an individual and doing what feels right for you. So I want to talk about this a little bit. There are people out there who weren't taught how to express themselves emotionally. And I see a lot of couples and a lot of women who are in a couple who are involved with somebody who really, they never know for sure how that person's feeling. That can be, yes, it could be a personality disorder, like somebody who is completely emotionally detached. I don't want to put a label on that here, but emotionally detached, let's say they're unable to feel emotions or express emotions. But there's also people who were raised in households where it was not safe or encouraged to express your emotions or have feelings. Maybe when you started to cry, they'd say, "I'll give you something to cry about." "Oh, are you crying again? You can go to your room until you can behave." Like it's something bad to be sad or upset. And I think that there actually was quite a lot of that happening. And I'm sure it's happening right now too. It's not different now. But be aware if you're listening to this or you know somebody who might fit into this category, that this is something that could really help them a lot, is to break through that and to tap into feeling their emotion, identifying it, and expressing it, because it gets in the way so much with relationships, especially love relationships, where the person will say, "I have no idea if he still loves me. I have no idea if he's happy with me or she's happy with me or not." Almost always it comes down to a situation like this where either their parents didn't like people to talk about emotions, or it was not encouraged, or it was punished. So I think it's good to have some compassion for that and not just assume this person is emotionally void. That's not always the case. I think that's less often the case. There are people who are born with what I consider to be an emotional birth defect, where they literally cannot feel emotions. There's names for that, which we're not going to talk about in this show, but yes, that does exist. But more often it's going to be they don't know how, or they're afraid to. So you know how we've talked about having those barriers around you that are unconscious barriers that are keeping you from seeing, feeling, hearing your angels. The same can be true for your emotions, that you've got invisible barriers you've put up consciously or subconsciously because it protected you in your childhood, or maybe in an earlier relationship you were involved with somebody who is emotionally abusive. So you're going to put a wall up because you don't want to be hurt again. Emotional abuse is some of the worst abuse you can have. It just continues to damage for years ahead unless you really address it, really dive into healing that. So if you've got this kind of damage, you don't need to tell me. I don't need to know every detail about people to help them, but just know that would be a good invocation for you to do. So realize there's other ones. We've covered the four main archangels now, but there's others. And I'm going to be covering a lot more, like once a month. It's always going to be on the last show of the month. I'll be talking about an archangel. If you have one you're really interested in that I haven't covered yet, please let me know and I'll add it to my schedule. But otherwise, I'm just going to keep working through the ones that I've done tons of research on over the years, because I wanted to know things. Sometimes it's so hard to find things like what does an archangel look like, or what do they feel like? Oh, that personality part is really hard to find. And a lot of it I had to go by my own experience because I have a lot of experience with archangels. I want to go over one more thing for you today for sure, and that is, this is the invocation that I do before every show. It's one of the things I do for spiritual protection every day, and it's calling in the we call it the four archangels, but it's really the four primary archangels. And I'll do that with you now. By the grace of God, I invoke the protection of the archangels. Archangel Michael, I invoke thee for protection and ask that you stand at my right side with your angel warrior energy. Archangel Uriel, I invoke thee for protection and ask that you stand at my left side, transmuting negative energy into positive energy. Archangel Raphael, I invoke thee for protection and ask that you stand before me with your healing angel energy. And Archangel Gabriel, I invoke thee for protection and ask that you stand behind me and give me strength, great messenger of God. Michael to my right, Uriel to my left, Raphael before me, and Gabriel behind me. Thank you. So I do this every day. If I'm going to the office that day, I do it as soon as I get to the office. And then my other spiritual protection, which is doing a violet flame invocation that calls in circles of angels for protection. And then lastly, I do a prayer to God, thanking them for the opportunity to serve in this body again. So at least one of these, that Archangel invocation is on my website, ivoryangelicmedium.com. And if you click on resources on the tab at the top, there's a drop-down menu and it says spiritual protection. Click on that. And I think the very first thing on there might be the invocation of the 4 archangels. If I'm doing this for a class, for a group setting, or for a client, I say, I invoke Archangel Michael, please stand to our right, not just my right. So keep that in mind if you're doing it as a group together. It's a beautiful thing to do, and I invite you to try that, because how are you, unless you come to see me, how are you going to know that you have a special connection to one of these 4 main archangels unless you start doing that invocation and feeling their energy as they come in? You literally will feel, if you're tuned into it, you've dropped that barrier and you can feel angels, you will feel Michael literally coming to your right side. The energy, I feel him now, right on your right side, Uriel on your left, Raphael before you. It's not like it just surrounds you. That specific archangel will come exactly where you ask them to. And I'm telling you that because it'll help you kind of pay attention to where you're feeling that entrance of huge angelic energy. When you're feeling your personal angels, even your master guide, your guardian angel, are not as powerful as archangels. So prepare for some big energy. I like to share with people that when you see an archangel, it's more powerful too, because I've said, when I see my master guide for many years, he would come in and he'd be the whole size of the wall in my room, whatever wall I'm looking toward. Well, I can remember being in Sedona doing some spiritual work, self-work on myself. And one night, Archangel Michael came in, and immediately the entire suite, and it was a rather large suite, filled with royal blue light, floor to ceiling, wall to wall. And the frequency was so high, it hurt, those chills hurt. And I knew it was Michael. His energy is very distinctive, his color is distinct. And that was a good lesson to me, because now I know that even the color is more like permeates more, takes up more space, fills up more of the room when it's an archangel. So just some things that you can look for, prepare for, and don't be afraid. There is nothing to be afraid of with angels and archangels. They're coming in to help you. They're coming in to support you. Yes, they're powerful beings, but you're trying to lead a good life. You're just trying to be the best person you can be, trying to get closer with angels and archangels, and they really want to support you in that. They're very excited that you are here, enjoying this show, listening, learning. They're paying attention to that. I don't want to forget, I keep forgetting to do this, but I do have a book that delves into this subject very deeply about communicating with angels, seeing them, feeling them, hearing them, and getting the full benefit of their leadership, their guidance. It's called Let Your Angels Lead. Here it is. It's on Amazon. So it's this information, a lot of it on the show, but it's in more depth. And it's a good resource book for you if you're working on these skills. You want to connect with archangels, with your own angels. That's a great starting point. And my angels are the ones who said, you have to write this book. They also told me I have to do a show. So here you go. You got that too. See, I do what they tell me to do. Tune in next week when the topic is setting effective boundaries. Know that that is a pre-recorded show. There will not be a live show next week, but there will be the week after that. In the meantime, may your angels surround you. May your angels protect you every moment, every day of your life. Have a beautiful day.